everybody, Shu here. Hard to believe it has been 2 years now that I've had this generator. So for this 2-year review, we're actually going to do the 100-hour service, and I'll show you what to do because I've seen a lot of forums where people are confused as to how to get the spark plug out of here. I'll show you the easiest way of getting the spark plug out of here too. So, and then after the service, we'll crank it up and I'll show you a little trick that I do that keeps this thing in top running performance at all times. It's ready to go whenever we're ready. All right, first thing you want to do, you're going to remove your side cover here, and you're going to want to change your spark plug while the engine's cold, because obviously when it's hot it's not comfortable to work in. Now a lot of people find it very difficult to change their spark plug because the way that this is designed, the spark plug shroud here is not lined up with that spark plug, even though from the outside it does look like it's lined up. If you try to get a spark plug and just drop it right onto the spark plug, you'll find out really fast that it just does not line up. It makes it very difficult to get that spark plug out. So what you'll need is an 8mm socket on a 1/4" drive ratchet. On your valve cover, this piece here, there's 4 bolts that holds this on. Just take them out. And once you get your 4 bolts out of your valve cover, you can simply grab it. It might have a little bit of a good hold on it, but you're going to need to work it loose, and up it comes. Now you're going to want to check your valve cover gasket. Make sure it didn't tear. If it tore, then you're definitely going to need to get a new gasket. In this case here, we're good. These are your valves here. These where you adjust them at. This you'll do at your 300 hours. Right now we're just doing the 100 hours, which is just inspecting the spark plug. So this little shroud that goes below your valve cover, this actually lifts off. There's a little clip right up here you need to watch out for. And the whole piece comes out just like that. Now you can use your 13/16 and drop it on, and you'll see that it goes directly onto the spark plug. This is where you're going to pull your spark plug out. Simply break it loose. Might be a little snug there, or actually tight. And that's how you get your spark plug out, which it doesn't look too bad. But something I did notice before when I was looking at this is an E6 RTC, which is one of those little torch plugs, which if you look in your operator's manual, you're going to see that this calls for a BPR 7HS, and the equivalent would be an E7 RTC, which they've already put the wrong plug in there. I went ahead and bought the correct plug, BPR 7HS. Now on the standard 100-hour service, all you're supposed to do is check your gap in here and brush off any deposits that might be on your spark plug. But I don't like the fact that they have the wrong plug in, so I'm replacing it. Before you reinstall your spark plug, you want to make sure your gap on these models It's 26 to 28 thousandths of an inch, or I do believe 0.60 to 0.70 millimeters. But once you get it gapped, all you're simply going to do is make sure you thread it all the way in by hand. You don't want to get it started and then use your tool. You want to thread it all the way by hand until it doesn't turn no more. Then you can put your ratchet on there and tighten it up till it gets tight. Once it gets tight, you're going to give it about half of a turn to crush the crush washer. And you're going to feel it get tight again. If you are reusing your old spark plug, you're only going to want to turn that about 1/8 of an inch once you hit bottom on that. Alright, once you get that, I'll put the spark plug boot back on. Once you get to that point, now you can get your shroud, check for any damages, make sure you got that little clip still on there. That clip clips right into this housing here. It's best, and right here, this is where your spark plug has to go. So to do this, if you just pull out on your spark plug a little bit, slide this right back in place. It'll basically fit. Oh, I forgot about the gasket. There's a little gasket right here. Gotta make sure this gasket stays right here. All right, here we go again. Get the cover. Just drop the clip, but I can get that in a second. We're gonna fit this right back in. And before you snug it down, you gotta get that clip. The clip is going to slide right into that little cover. You might need a screwdriver to assist you, but it'll clip right in there. And once it goes down, your line back up, you can get your spark plug. Go ahead and plug your spark plug back up. That'll actually help hold that shroud. You can get your valve cover, reinstall your valve cover, put your 4 bolts back in there. Make sure you don't drop these 2 back ones. Then you just simply tighten them back up. But what you're going to want to do is start them by hand, like everything. You're going to want to start them by hand until they go all the way down. Once you got them tightened down by hand, now you're going to do a crisscross to tighten it. You don't have to go too strong with this. Just back and forth. Once you got them all snug, you're just going to give them a little bit of a tighten. Remember to cross over when you're doing it. And there's your spark plug replaced. Alright, now checking the air filter is even easier. Just need a Phillips head screwdriver right here. Just remove this single screw. Your filter cover will come off with it. Pull it out, and all you have to do on your 100-hour is just inspect it, make sure it's not dirty. It's not dirty. Look on the inside of your filter housing. See if there's any dust, any dirt, anything like that on the inside. If there is, now would be the best time to clean it out, which this one has no dirt, no dust inside of it. So that's a plus. So we can put this filter back in. Put the cover back on and simply just tighten down the screw. Now the fuel filter is a lot more challenging. I would suggest taking it to a professional if you have any doubt with your abilities, because here is the fuel filter. It looks pretty easy. The only catch-22 is right below that is most of your electronics. You do not want to spill any fuel at all onto that. So if you're going to do this yourself, you're going to want to use actual fuel absorbent pads that can absorb fuel quick, just in case. Best course of action, take it to a professional, to a shop, and let them do it. In my case, I have to wait 3 more days for a fuel filter to come in. I accidentally ordered the wrong fuel filter. So if you want to see how this is done, just put it in the comment below, and as soon as my fuel filter comes in, I'll just make a little short video on how to swap out that fuel filter. Changing the oil on this is so easy. Right down here is 2 Phillips head screws. You're just going to use your trusty Phillips head screwdriver. Take them 2 screws out. And this little tray is going to come off. Once that tray comes off, on the inside, there's a little tray right down the side of there. It's going to catch your oil, and then it's going to come right out of this little hole right here. When you change your oil on these, you want to do it when it's warm. You do not want to do it when it's hot, because it does no good to burn yourself. And when your oil is warm, it still grabs any impurities and sends it to the bottom when it drains out. So we're going to crank this up. We're going to let it run for about 5 minutes, and then we'll be right back to drain this oil and refill it back up.
5 minutes later.
Alrighty, the engine is warm. You can just put your hand on it. You can tell it's really nice and warm. Now to drain the oil, you just don't want to open your drain plug, tilt it, and pour it. That could have some bad consequences. There's 2 things you want to do first, and that is make sure that your selector switch is in the off storage position, because this not only shuts off your generator, but it also closes the fuel supply valve from your tank to your carburetor. And on the bottom of your carburetor, you'll notice this little screw here, the brass fitting with this little clear tube that goes down through the bottom of your unit, which you can see the bottom of it right here. What you want to do is you want to put something underneath that tube to catch the fuel, because you're going to open this screw up, you're going to loosen this up so fuel can come out of the bowl of your carburetor and into a separate container, so you can dispose of that, so that there's no fuel inside your carburetor. Because if you tilt this engine with fuel inside the carburetor, it could flow into the cylinder head itself, and you don't want fuel in there right now. All right, now I'm just simply using a cap off of a spray can to catch the fuel. So you just loosen up this screw right here, and once you loosen it up far enough, you'll see fuel come out. And just keep an eye on the fuel that's coming out. Once you see air bubbles like that and the fuel stops, then you know your carburetor is empty. You can actually close that back up now. You don't want to over tighten this where you strip it neither. You just want to tighten it just to where it gets snug and a little extra. Now you can take your oil fill spout. You can take off your oil cap. And you're going to need a container that can hold this. Then all you have to do is tilt your engine. And the oil will pour into that little cup, down through a little drain, and into your oil container. You can tilt your machine over so all the oil comes out. There we go. Now is a good time to clean up any oil that might have came out. You will get a little bit on the inside, so if you just wipe it up, make sure it's all dry, you won't have to worry about dust accumulating inside. I always wait until I'm done before I wipe this tray. Now you're going to need a small funnel for this because it is kind of tricky in there. Now I use 5W30 Mobile 1. It's what I like to use in here. Only holds about 15 1/4 ounces. So it should be right around in here somewhere by the time we get done. You're going to want to pour nice and slow because it doesn't give you much of an angle unless you have a flex type of funnel. Now on your dipstick, you have a high and a low. You want it near your high. You don't want to go over your high. You want it near it. And make sure your generator is on a nice level surface. If you put too much oil in your engine, it'll start smoking. If you don't have enough oil in your engine, it won't get proper lubrication. And we are just below the high mark. So we are good there. So I'm going to put the cap back on. Now I'm going to clean the little tray under it, get it all dried up. Now you reinstall your tray. It'll hook on the bottom and it swings up. Once you have your oil done, make sure it's snug. Just check everything over just to make sure that everything is back to where it was before. Then we're going to do a quick running test on it. We're going to make sure no fuel comes out of this carburetor drain. We're going to make sure no oil leaks from the valve cover. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to rotate the dial to the cold start position. That's going to allow some fuel to come to the carburetor. So far there's no fuel coming out. You can feel underneath and you can tell that it's dry. Now we're going to crank this up. We're going to let it run for about a minute. Then we're going to check for any kind of oil leaks.
One minute, 37 seconds later.
And as you've seen it crunk up, basically first pull. The neat thing about that, the reason why generators can crank like that for, is two reasons. Number one, when you take care of your generator is going to take care of you. Number two, I don't use gasoline inside this generator. What I use, it's called Aspen 4. It is a ethanol free, which is, it's an alkylite gasoline for 4-stroke engines. It's an engineered fuel. This stuff, like when you're running it in your generator, you can't even hardly smell any kind of exhaust coming from this generator. And it burns so clean. And it literally starts first pull. I had this generator sitting in the shed for about 7 months, and it surprised me when it took 2 pulls for this thing to start up. So I'm sticking with the Aspen 4 fuel for this generator. So everybody has their own type. Some people like the true fuel, some people like straight gasoline. They think the high test is better, but anything that has ethanol in it is going to be bad for your engine, especially if it's something that's going to be stored for a long time. I would not suggest storing your engine for a long time with gas in it, but I did it just because I wanted to test that stuff. And it took 2 pulls and it's fired right up for me. Also, on the back of your generator, and almost all generators should have this little piece in here, looks like a screen, that's a flame arrestor. If you're running bad fuel, stuff like that, or if your engine isn't tuned up correctly, you're going to start getting carbon buildup back here. It's simple. On this one, there's just 4 screws that you unscrew. This plate comes off, and a 5/16 can unscrew that little clamp, slide it off, and you brush it off, and it's clean. In my case, that is very clean. There is no carbon in there at all because of the fuel I use. Well, I hope you enjoyed the 2-year 100-hour service interval on the Ryobi 2300 watt generator inverter. It's been a very dependable generator, especially using the Aspen 4 fuel. And if you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the description or in the comment section down below, down there somewhere. And if you don't mind, throw a thumbs up if this video has been helpful at all. And if you're new to the channel, why not consider hitting that subscribe button right there. And if you want to see our playlist, you can click it up here, or any of our videos, that our newest video coming up will be right here. So until next time, y'all stay safe out there, and we hope to see you on the next one.